Hello, my name is Freya. I am a knitter and textile student living in Glasgow with my girlfriend Karina and my two cats Kiska and Floki. Welcome or welcome back. I hope you feel welcome here and I hope this is a welcome distraction from the world, which is crazy. I don't want to go on about it too much because I do want this to be a place of escape and I hope that's okay. So I'm just going to talk about my knitting. Yes. So I have so much to talk about. I think I have about, I have my notes. I think I have 4/5 finished objects. Because I've kind of finished ones that have been whipped for a long time. So yeah, I have a lot to talk about basically, so I hope this isn't too long, but we'll see. Anyway, so, let's just say a few things before. So I will have links to everything I talk about below. I have links to my social media. I say that like there's more than just Instagram. Well, there's Ravelry as well. So my Instagram and Ravelry, I have timestamps so that you can skip past parts that you don't want to watch and stuff like that. So yeah, that's it. So we'll jump straight into my first finished object, which is what I am wearing. So this is the Cumulus blouse, which I think that's how you say it. It's by PetiteKnit. So I'm going to stand up and try and show you. I'm going to have to stand behind my chair so I don't know what you can see. Can you see? I don't know if you can see this because the chair's but yeah, this is the Cumulus blouse by PetiteKnit. And I know that I'd started it and shown you. I don't know how far along I was in my last podcast, but I finished it. So the yarn that I used 2 strands held together. So the pattern calls for 2 strands of mohair held together. However, I wanted it to be a bit of a thicker material and a bit less see-through and more like a very light jumper instead of more like a top. So I held, let's see if I can find the ball bands. I held 1 strand of Drops Kid Silk mohair in dark grey. I could be wrong in what shades. I've used this yarn so many times, I've probably shown it on every single podcast. But what I will say about this colour is that it seems to be a bit softer than the other colours that I've used. I don't know why. And I held that together with Malabrigo lace. This is how much I had left, and actually, it's in Pearl 10. I actually used, so I knit the size 2, and I actually used a little bit more, I say a little bit, quite a bit more yarn than what was called for my size. I don't know if that's because it wasn't a mohair, it was, you know, a wool lace weight, and I don't know if that changes the yardage, but anyway. So I'm going to have a look at my notes because I did quite a few things too, well, not quite a few things, very subtle changes to this. So I'm pretty sure I went up a needle size. I don't know if it was half a needle size or a full needle size because my gauge seems to be a tiny bit tighter than hers, and my gauge was off. So my gauge is okay for the gauge swatch, but I knew that I had more rows than she did in her 4 inches, which is fine. I'm fine with having a different row gauge. I seem to always have a different row gauge anyway, but that's such an easy fix when you're knitting, because you just knit more rows to get the same, to get to, you know, the measurement that they say. Anyway, so I did that, but my stitch gauge was like pretty much spot on my gauge swatch, but but when so halfway through knitting this, I kind of got a bit disheartened. I can't remember if I spoke about this in my last podcast, but I kind of got a bit disheartened because it seemed to be so much smaller than what the size was meant to be. So I was measuring it, and pretty much I got the dimensions for the size 1, even though I was knitting the size 2. But actually I prefer it having this much ease, because I feel like if I got the right dimensions, it would have been a little bit too much positive ease, especially because I think you can get away with having more positive ease when it's a lighter, flowier, more see-through fabric that that just holding mohair together would have given me. But I knit it so that it was more of a lightweight jumper, which I think suits less positive ease than what was called for in the pattern. I feel like I described that horribly. But yeah, basically I ended up with a size 1 instead of a size 2, which I am not mad at all. So and another thing that I did, I was mentioning that I wanted to knit, obviously I needed to knit more rows than what she called for to get the same measurement. So this is knit raglan back and forth and shaping the neck at the same time with increases. So I added a couple of plain knit rows in there, like just equally spread down, so that I would get the same depth. I did actually want a lower v-neck than what was called for in that size, and I thought I added enough plain rows to get a deeper v-neck, but I don't think I did. I think I could have added more, but in the end I actually quite like the depth. I don't know if you can see the depth of the v-neck because I can't see what you can see, but I actually I'd never take this necklace off, so I'm always wearing it, and I think it kind of looks like I've knitted this jumper for my necklace, which I really like. So that's one thing that I did. Another thing that I did with the neck, oh no, I've skipped what I was going to talk about. So another thing that I did was I knit the yoke quite significantly deeper than what she called for. So I knit this bit longer before I split for the sleeves. I do not like the feeling of having the armhole too close to my armpit. I feel like I don't like that feeling of having the fabric so far up. Does that make sense? So anyway, I lengthened that, and I'm so happy that I did that because this is a really comfortable fitting fit. Oh my god. For me. And I don't know if that's what used up a bit more yardage. Probably. I assume that's where the yardage went. Anyway, so yes, another thing that I did with the neck was in the pattern, she calls, well, so basically you do an I-cord around the neck after you finish knitting it. You don't knit it as you go. So she says pick up the stitches and knit it in the same needle size, blah 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 blah. So my I cords always seem to be quite tight, no matter how much I try to, you know, pay attention to my tension. It's always a bit tight. So I went up, I think I knit the whole thing in 5mm, and then for the first time I did the V-neck, I cast on 4 stitches and in a 6mm needle, and I got, you know, a quarter of the way around and I was like, that's too loose. And it was also too big of an I cord. So I went down to a 5.5 and I only cast on 3 stitches, and that was perfect. It's not bunched it up, it's not too loose, and it's quite a subtle edging, which I very much prefer. I don't really like having bulk around here. I think that can be not so flattering. Another thing that I did to the V is, I know that when I seen her version and other people's versions, the V, instead of being quite a sharp point, it was a little bit of like an oval instead of like a point, if that makes sense. So when I was doing the I cord, I did 2 decreases at the point to make it more of a point. So that's the yoke and the neck. I also, as per, I added short rows at the back. I'm pretty sure I added a short row at the back when I was doing the raglan shaping. I also did a couple after I split for the sleeves, and I also did a couple at the back just before the end, just before I finished, and then did the I cord. I always do this because if I knit the pattern as written, it always seems to ride up at the back, and I don't know how this doesn't happen to other people, or I see that it happens to other people and they're not bothered about it, but it really bothers me. So I always add short rows to the back, because it either levels it out completely or it's just a tiny bit lower at the back, which I like, because even if you don't do a French tuck at the front, which is how I normally wear my jumpers, it gives the illusion of a French tuck. That's how it's that's what it looks like in my head anyway. So I did that. I think I can't remember how long I knit the body. I'm pretty sure I knit it to pattern. I either knit it to pattern or a tiny bit shorter or a tiny bit longer. So then for the I have so much to talk about for this. So then for the I cord at the bottom, in the pattern, I hope this isn't giving anything away, I don't think it is. In the pattern she says, whilst doing the I cord, do decreases. And she says do decreases like every 4 or 5 maybe I cord rows. And I knew instantly that that's not happening. That would completely pull it in so much that I couldn't even get it on. So instead I'm trying to remember, I did a decrease every 20 rows, 20 or 15, can't remember. And even that's like, again, I don't know what you can see at all. You probably can't see it at all, but even that pulls it in. I think it's fine. I think maybe I could have gotten away with doing it every like 25-30 rows, but it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. So onto the sleeves. I knit the sleeves exactly to pattern, but for the I-cord at the sleeves I didn't do any decreases at all. Again, on the sleeves she says to do decreases every like 4 or 5 rows, and that wasn't happening. I wouldn't have got my hand through the hole. But this is me doing no decreases, and it's not like flaring out, and it's not cinching in too much. It's just, I think it's just a really pretty edging, because it just looks perfect to me. I didn't do any decreases, and I think that's perfect. So let me have a look at my notes, because I have a whole page of notes for this. Yes, yardage, short rows, longer armhole. So for the how much I used of the yarn, I used 100 grams of mohair and 93 grams of the lace. I have put a Ravelry page up for this, which has notes and needle sizes and yardage. And yes, so one thing that I want to talk about, which is what I did for this and another finished object, was how I washed and blocked it. So scary. I decided to use my washing machine on a spin cycle to get rid of excess water after I'd washed it, which was scary. But I've seen so many people talk about doing it, and they say that you really should do it because it makes it like cuts out 2 days of drying, which is always good because it's so annoying to just have a jumper laid out on the floor drying, especially when you've got cats who like to sit on it and also occasionally pull stitches and ruin it. So yeah, I put it in wool soak, then I squeezed out the water. I didn't even put it in a towel and stamp on it. I just squeezed out I squeezed out as much water as what I could. I put it in the washing machine, put it on a spin cycle, and I literally was just sat in front of the washing machine watching it. And I think it got halfway through and I panicked and I stopped the cycle and I took it out, and it hadn't shrunk or anything. It was absolutely fine. But yeah, I did it for half of the spin cycle, and it did literally take out like 2 days, 1 day, 2 days of drying, which is amazing. And I'm completely converted to doing it that way because it doesn't shrink it. It literally just centrifugal forces the water out of it. I then, after that, straight away washed 2 of the jumpers that I've knitted my girlfriend because they needed washed. I did the same thing and it was amazing. They came out, for those 2 I put it on the whole cycle because I kind of trusted it a little bit more then. And yeah, it honestly, they dried so fast and I'm honestly gutted that I've not done it before now. But anyway, so that's like a massive revelation, and it will also make me wash my knits more often, which I probably should be doing anyway. So that is everything to do with my Cumulus blouse. I've worn it out a couple of times and I love it. I love it so much. It's kind of gotten to that point where I feel like if I wear a really thick jumper out, it's like too cold to just wear the thick jumper without a coat walking about outside, but it's too warm to wear the jumper inside. So it's kind of at that weird temperature at the moment, and this is perfect because I can wear it underneath the coat, and then I can wear it inside with just like a little vest top underneath, and I'm warm enough, I'm not too cold, not too hot. So anyway, I do really want to knit another one of these. I think I always want to knit another one of everything. But I do want to knit it with 2 strands of mohair held together, just because I want that. And I know that it would be nice, and yeah. So, and I would recommend the pattern. Yes. So moving on to, well, let's move on to my next finished object, which is also one that I had started and shown before, and I had lots of trials and tribulations, is that the word? I don't know, with starting this pattern, because I wanted to knit it originally. So I've already, it's the Birds of a Feather shawl, and this is it. So I've already knit this before, and I always knew that I wanted to knit it again. This is it. I always knew I wanted to knit it again, and I did buy this yarn to knit it again. A while ago I bought this yarn to knit it again, but for Christmas I got, I don't know what you can see, I got a ball of hand-dyed mohair from Qing fibre, and it was the perfect amount to knit another one of these. However, I had to find a fingering weight yarn to go with it, because it's alternate sections of 1 strand of mohair, then 1 strand of fingering throughout. So anyway, it proved pretty much impossible to find a yarn to go with it. I bought 2 yarns both from Qing fibre, because I didn't want to get a cheaper yarn to go with it, because I wanted it to be really special. I tried knitting it, does this look okay? I tried knitting it with both yarns, and I didn't like it. The weights were off, the colours were off, but I really wanted to knit this pattern again, so I decided to just go for the yarn that I already had set aside to knit this with. And I love it because I wanted to knit it in this neutral colour, because I want it to go with everything I want to wear, and this is like my going out shawl / I wear it as a scarf like this, and it will go with everything because it's a neutral nudie colour. So the yarn that I knit it out of is so one of them is the Rowan Kid Silk Haze Vintage, which is this colour. I'm not sure how the colours are going to come out because it's an overcast day and I'm using a ring light which can blow out colours and also make them look nothing like what they look like in real life. But anyway, so this is the mohair. So I got this is in the colour 1, and I got this from Wool Warehouse when it was on sale, and it has since sold out, and I have not been able to find it anywhere else, so I assume that it's discontinued now, which is a shame because it's I also bought another colour of this yarn, this yarn, and all of the shades in that collection are sort of mottledy, tonally coloured mohair, which is hard to find without it being very expensive hand-dyed mohair. So they're absolutely beautiful, and I am gutted that I didn't buy more of the collection. But anyway, so really love that yarn, really soft and good quality. I'm used to using Drops Kid Silk, and this is a lot softer than Drops Kid Silk, and I assume has a lot better ethics and stuff like that. Yeah, so I used that. I used, if anybody's interested in how much yardage people use, which I am, I used 45 grams of this mohair, which the pattern calls for 50 grams, and I'm pretty sure in my other one I used a little bit more than 45 grams, so I don't know if my tensions changed since then, probably. But anyway, so that's one of the yarns. The next yarn is this, which is this. It is, I'm going to hold that up and see if you can see that. I'm not sure. So this is from a website called Colourmat. Colourmat is like a company that takes, I'm really bad at wording what they do. It takes like mill ends of yarn, discontinued yarn, or yeah, just the end bits of productions of yarns, or from companies that have discontinued making like a jumper and they've got leftover yarn. They buy it and sell it on. So they're all on cones pretty much, and this is 70% merino and 30% polyamide. It was 150 grams and 620 meters, which is like bang on a fingering weight yarn. But this is a chainette yarn. I don't know how well you're gonna see what kind of yarn that is. But it's a chainette yarn, and actually for one of my college projects, I focused a lot on sustainability, and obviously because these guys, you know, save yarn from landfill essentially, I used a lot of their yarns, and also I emailed them to get a bit more information about it so that I could talk about it in my college project. And basically they have a chainette machine, and they said that they sort of recycle yarns, turn it into fibres, and then, or I don't know, basically they save yarn, turn it into chainettes, yarns, and sell that. I've not described that well at all, but yeah. Yeah, anyway, all the yarns are really good quality from there, and this is really good quality also. It's like basically a nude colour, but it has like flashes of pink, so it's got quite a lot of depth. This is actually my first time using chainette yarn, and I have a feeling that it will stand up to the test of time more than plied yarns. I could be wrong. And because this has a mix of merino with polyamide, I assume that it will last even longer. So hopefully this will last for years and years and years, which I'm very happy about, and that I will get to wear this probably for the rest of my life if I look after it. So yeah, that's that. Anything else to say? Yes. So, oh yeah, right, okay. Reading my notes and remembering what I've done. So for this, I used the Weavin Stephen method to weave in my yarns, which there's a YouTube tutorial on how he does it, which I'll link below, why not? And basically you weave it in as you go. So, what can you see? So that's one. I'll link it below because I'm awful at describing things. But anyway, that's what I did. And also, this is the first time that I did not cut the ends. And I blocked it first and then I cut the ends. I know that is what you should do, but I just really want the garment to look finished, and then but if I don't cut it, then it doesn't feel finished, and then I have to wait like a couple of days extra for it to feel finished. But it is good, and I'm probably going to do this from now on, which is annoying, but it's good practice, and I think it does make a difference. So another thing that I did was for she calls it the border, which is stripes of, you know, the fingering and the mohair. She says to do like 3 garter bumps of the fingering and 1 garter bump of the mohair. For my other shawl, I did follow the pattern for that, but for this one, I did 3 bumps of garter for the fingering and 2 for the mohair, just because this yarn, the colours are so similar that if I did that, there would be no point striping them because it would just look like the same yarn. So so I decided to do that, and I'm really happy that I did. I think it gives it a little bit more of a contemporary or younger feel, having the thicker stripes. So I really like it, and I would recommend doing that because I prefer the look of it, basically. Yeah. So that's all I have to say. I've worn that out quite a few times, which is why it's like crumpled. But yeah, I really like that, really happy with that, and I really like the pattern. It's a really good pattern. It's actually the only Andrea Mowry pattern that I've tried. I've never really found another one of hers that I like enough to knit, which, I mean, personal preference in it, but yeah, I really like that. Probably not the last time I'll knit it. I just really like knitting the same pattern a couple of different times because you can knit it with different yarn and it will look completely different. So that's always fun. So yeah, that is that. So on to, I'm looking at my notes because there's a couple more things to talk about. So let's move on. Okay, let's move on to my next bigger finished object, which is finally I have finished my Scrappy Badger and Bloom, which I have had for a whip, since I can't even remember when, before Christmas. And I don't usually have whips for that long, but I just didn't work on it. Other patterns caught my eye more, kept my attention more, and also I think that I knitted too big a size of this, and then I got disheartened, and then I didn't knit on it for ages. Even though I'd knit the whole body, I knit down pretty much half a sleeve, so all I needed to do was half a sleeve and the other sleeve. But I just didn't do it. But after I finished this, after I finished the shawl, I was umming and ahhing between a couple of different patterns that I wanted to knit next, but I didn't have the yarn for, so I would have to have bought the yarn and then waited for the yarn to come. So I had like a lull of not really knowing what I was going to knit, so I finished 2 languishing whips in that time, just to sort of reset and also declutter because I really don't like having languishing whips about. It really stresses me out. So I'm so happy that I've got these 2 out of the way. So yeah, I should probably put this on. So Scrappy Badger and Bloom, I've knit this before and I absolutely love my other one. The other one is like the main colour is a beige and the contrast colour is a brown. So it's quite tasteful and I just really like the aesthetic of it. But I had lots of leftover drops brushed alpaca silk, and I don't know what to do with them, so I decided to put it into this because I could, you know, do different sections in different colours and use up the yarn. So that is what I did. So I'm going to try and show you. I cannot see what you can see, so I'm just going to blindly move about and, you know. So let's see, this is a jumper. It's very oversized. Which is annoying because I kind of changed the stitch counts, so it was in between size 4 and 5. For my other one I knit a size 5, and at the time when I had just finished it and I was wearing it loads, I really liked the oversized feel of it, but as I wore it more I thought I could have done with knitting 1 or 2 sizes smaller, but before I had come to that realisation I'd already cast this one on and basically knit all of it and half the arm, and that's kind of why I was like, I can't be bothered finishing it. But so yeah, if I knit this again I would definitely knit 1 or 2 sizes smaller. So what I changed about this pattern, well, let's talk about the yarn first. So they are all drops brushed alpaca silk. In fact, I tell you why I had so much of this, is because Drops had the sale of, I think it was an alpaca sale where all of the alpaca yarns were discounted, and so I got a lot of this yarn basically. So the main colour is colour 1, So this yarn is 77% alpaca and 23% silk, and it is one of the softest yarns that I've felt, and the end product is so soft and it's like wearing a cloud. So yeah, main colour is that, and all the other colours I will try to remember. So, and I held the yarn double throughout. So this contrast colour is sage. The next colour, this is pale rust or rust, can't quite remember. Then this contrast colour is heather or mauve. No, it's heather. And the last one, I actually held two colours together to get this grey, and it's probably just, in fact it is, it's light grey and dark grey. Very simple to remember. So yeah, I still have quite a bit left, and I don't really know what I'm gonna make. Like, I have a whole bag of it. That's some Drops Melody that I also have. So I'm not sure what I'm going to make with all of that. Any suggestions are welcome. I have 2 full balls of this, the white colour, and I've actually been wanting to knit like, I don't know what they're called, it's like a cowl, but it looks like a turtleneck. It's basically like a turtleneck thing, so that when you wear it underneath the coat it looks like you're wearing a turtleneck jumper, but it's just like a cowl, like fake vest kind of a thing, if you know what I'm saying. So I was gonna knit one using this, but I mean it's only like 140 meters per ball, so that's probably like, what I've got here is probably like just over 300 meters, which I do not know if that is enough for one of those. Maybe if I knit it very loose, at a very loose gauge. So I might give that a go actually, because it's so soft and I really want one, and trying to save money and not buy more yarn. And so yeah. So that's the yarn that I used. And like I was saying, I kind of changed the stitch counts to be between a 4 and a 5. Another thing that I did, I don't know if you can see at all, I added literally like 1 or 2 short rows at the back of the neck, just because I just love short rows, and it just fits me a lot better if I add them in. So I did that, just a tiny one, like a tiny bit, because I didn't know if I'd gotten like the placement of it right, so I just winged it and hoped that it was okay. So I did that. I also did the same modification that I did in the last one. So let's see. So the first increases happen quite far down basically, and when I knit it for the first time, it created like a funnel here, because obviously there was no increases to make it lay flat. So then I ripped that back for various different reasons and I split the amount of increase between a row further up and that row. So I did the same for this basically. Basically I did decreases further up the neck to make it lay flat, which is perfect. I didn't describe that very well. I've got a Ravelry page for this where I describe it perhaps a bit better. So yeah, so I also did a smaller stitch count for the sleeve, but it's still very big and oversized. In the pattern, I can't quite remember what the pattern says, but what I did was I did decreases down the arm, just decreases evenly down the arm, can't quite remember. I ended up decreasing, so I was knitting like maybe the size 4 stitch count for the arms, and I ended up decreasing to less stitches than even the first size had for the sleeves, which I really like the look of what I did, and I just really like the look of it. If I was to knit just straight down in this oversized size, it would have been gapey and cold. Though I do really like the straight sleeves and also flared sleeve look, but not for this. So another modification that I did, which is what I did for my other one, is the short rows. So there are short rows in this, and they happen after you knit the colourwork yoke. So in the pattern, she says to do the short rows. I'm so bad at explaining this. She says, I can't quite see what you can see, but she says to do the short rows. I don't know what you could see. I apologise if you cannot see this at all, but she says to do the short rows so that they come all the way to the front of the body. Now this would have made the sleeve connect to the body even further down, and even just doing the colour work, the yoke is really deep and it already connects to the body really far down, which means when you move your arms, the whole jumper moves up, and I knew knitting the first one that that's just not happening. So instead I knit the short rows so that instead of going all the way to the front, I just went I never came further forward than the front of the armhole. So and funnily enough, I actually followed, so the pattern is Badger and Blue by Anne Ventzel or something like that, and I follow her on Instagram, and she is actually designing a jumper at the moment which actually looks quite similar to this, and I have seen in all of her like sneak peeks that she has done that same kind of a short row thing that I did, that I modified it to. So maybe that's a claim to fame. I don't know if she took that from me. Probably not, but yeah, I would definitely recommend doing that, because otherwise, unless you like it to be connected to the body really far down, I don't like that look. It's annoying, and it also means you can't wear it underneath coats or anything, which is, you know, yeah, which is annoying. So that is pretty much it for the modifications for that. I do really like it, and I have worn it quite a bit. I've already steam blocked this. I feel like this yarn doesn't really need wet blocked. I will obviously wash it when it gets dirty, but it's pretty happy just getting a steam block, and it lays in place, and you know, it sort of behaves itself without getting a wet block. Does that make sense? So yeah, what was I gonna say there? Oh yeah, I have worn this. I don't know if I'll wear it out the house just because it's really oversized. So it's kind of hard to style, especially because, you know, the yoke is quite deep, even when changing the short rows. So it is annoying to get underneath coats. but yeah, so let's move on to my next finished object. This is again one that I have had on my needles. I think I worked out that it's like 3 months maybe, and that's just not like me. I hate doing that. And it is a hat. So I kind of hatted myself out because I knit a couple, I think I knit 3 in a row. One as just a present and 2 as a Christmas present. And after I did that, I cast this one on. But I couldn't bring myself to knit on it anymore. So this is the Dreaming Slow hat it's published by Qing fibre, but I'm pretty sure that Kat from Heather and Hops wrote the pattern. It is a hat that is a DK weight held with 2 strands of mohair, but I knit this out of leftovers from my first badger and bloom actually. So I held 2 strands of fingering weight with 2 strands of mohair. The fingering weight is Drops Flora, which is 65 wool and 35 alpaca, or the other way around. And probably just, it's called beige or light beige, with Drops Kid Silk mohair in light beige, I believe. Beige. And it is knit on 3.75 needles. So it's a very dense fabric which hurts my wrists and my arms quite a lot, which is probably one of the reasons why I stopped knitting it. But I don't suit hats. I will not be putting them on because I really don't suit hats. But my girlfriend wears hats fairly, now and then. And she's got a hat that is store-bought and it's probably acrylic, and it just really annoys me that I'm a knitter and she's not got a hand knit hat. It just really annoys me. So I kind of knit this for both of us because whenever it's cold out and if we're just running down to like the shop down the road, I don't care what I look like, I just care that I'm warm. So wearing a hat is pretty handy. So anyway, yeah, I finished this eventually. I knit the medium size on 3.75. I knit straight for 8.5 inches, and then I did the decreases. And I used 33 grams of mohair and 74 grams of fingering weight held double, if anyone's interested. And that is that. Nothing else to say about that. We've not worn it out the house yet, but it will be used, and I'm very happy to see that she has a hand knit hat finally. So yeah, that is the Dreaming Slow hat. So on to kind of a finished object, kind of not, very much probably whips. So I got commissioned a good couple of weeks ago now to knit 3 pairs of Scrappy socks. So yes. So I'm pretty sure in my last podcast I had finished a pair and I had cast on the second pair, but I have not had confirmation. So I've not even had confirmation that she still wants them, which is dangerous. But I don't have any of her contact details, and I only see her on Mondays, and we keep missing each other on those Mondays, so I assume she still wants them. But I have not had confirmation on the sizes. I think she said 2 5s and a 6, but I am not confident enough to knit that and then have gotten it wrong and have to rip out the toes and knit more or take away length and stuff. So I did finish one pair that I showed the last time, which is a size 5. So I'm pretty, yeah, that's fine. I'm pretty sure she said size 5, so I knit one size 5. Then, they look so funny. I knitted the second pair, but I knit all the way until where I would start the toe on both socks, because then when she confirms the sizes, all I need to do is add a toe and that's it, done. And that doesn't take long at all. So yeah, they look very silly, but that's it. So for socks, for commission socks, I normally knit, so 2.5mm, 64 stitches, 20 for the cuff and 2x2 rib, 50 for the leg. I do a 17 repeat slip stitch, heel flap and gusset. Then I decrease to 64 stitches for the foot, knit as long, and then do the toe. So that's that. That's the second pair, and now I am on to the third pair, and I have done the same. Knitted all the way till where I would start the toe, and I am on my last sock finally. I've only got this far though, and I'm going to do the same, knit all the way till I would start the toe and then leave them and wait until she confirms, and if she doesn't want them I'll finish them and sell them, because they take a very long time. For one of the socks, I decided to time myself just because I was curious. I was curious to see how long it would take. So obviously I could only time myself till, just before I started the toe, but I kind of have a ballpark of 20 to maybe 23, 25, depending on how big the sock is, hours of work for one pair of socks. So so let's say 23 hours for a pair of socks. If I was to pay myself minimum / living wage, you're talking quite a lot of money, and I am selling them for 1/10 of that, which breaks my heart, is kind of a little bit demoralizing in terms of when you realise how little you are, what's the word? How little worth you are giving your time, and time is so precious to me now because I'm doing a college course, I'm doing an internship, and I'm doing quite heavy psychotherapy. Time is pretty, it means a lot to me, and also my knitting time means a lot to me. It's a time where I can de-stress, I can get away from the world, so yeah, I mean, I knew that obviously I was underselling myself quite a lot, but when you have the figures laid out in front of you, it's like, it's just so annoying. So I will not be doing any more commission socks unless I go freelance and I properly set up my own business. I have, you know, all the proper things set in place, and I can charge living wage for my time. It's just not worth it. It's good to sort of get myself out there, you know, expose myself to more people, like word of mouth, and then possibly get more work from it. But that's me done for commissions for now. It's just not happening. But yeah, I'm not saying, but I'm happy to do them. But that'll be the last time. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, because obviously I agreed to do them. I agreed, you know, the price at the time, and that's that. So moving on. Yeah, so that's actually, I don't have any more whips at the moment because that is my whip, and that's the door. Okay, and we're back. So that is all the knitting. Now onto acquisitions, which this acquisition section is very, very special and exciting and crazy. So basically one of my viewers messaged me and said that she would love to send me a sweater's quantity of mohair yarn, which is crazy and amazing, and one of basically the nicest thing that somebody that I don't personally know, obviously I know her now, has ever done for me. This is crazy. Yarn is the best gift that you could ever get, and this yarn is so beautiful, such good quality, and just so special. I'm not going to say your name because I don't know if you want your name said, but thank you so much. It's honestly just made me so happy. Obviously the world is crazy at the moment. I've had quite a big hit to my mental health at the moment, and this is just like a bright sunshine light that has happened to me, and it's crazy. So basically she sent me, she said, I'd love to send you this yarn, and I said, you choose the colour because I trust you, and she did not disappoint. This is the colour that she chose. I hope that's going to come out properly. It is a beautiful mauvey, beautiful colour. It's very tasteful and timeless and actually beautiful. So this is Lamana yarn. It is 60% mohair and 40% silk. This is in the colour 37. And one thing that is very interesting to me is that it's 25 grams, but it's 300 meters, and I've never worked with a mohair that is that thin. And I actually, like, I've not stopped looking for patterns for this because I want to find the perfect one. And I actually want to ask if anybody has used a mohair that is like this, with like such a high silk content but also this thin, because I don't know if that will affect what the finished garment looks like, because I want to knit a jumper that is 2 strands of this held together, and I don't know if that will give me the same fabric as a normal like 200 meters to 25 grams will give me. So if anybody knows the answer to that, please let me know, because I just really want to knit with it. It's like the most special yarn, and I just really want to just have the experience of knitting with it, basically. So yeah, amazing. If anybody has any suggestions or any knowledge of knitting with a yarn like this, please let me know. I would love any tips. So yeah, that's that. So excited, so happy. Yeah, I've not stopped gushing about it because it's just amazing. So thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. So great. Okay, moving on. So moving on to a yarn that I bought, and actually I've been looking at buying this yarn for a while now. Ever since I knit, what's it called? The Chestnut Sweater by PetiteKnit, which is a turtleneck, oversized jumper that I've worn a couple of times and I've shown obviously on this podcast. And I wear it every day and I love it. And I've seen that it's by PetiteKnit, and I've seen that she had knit a version of it in this yarn, and I loved it. And I thought it would be perfect to knit and to have as a basically a coat. Yeah, basically to wear out the house instead of a coat, because apparently this yarn is super warm and perfect for that. So let me show you. So it is the Sandnesgarn, don't know if that's blowing out at all, Sandnesgarn Pyrgent, probably butchering that. So yeah, I was kind of inspired by that yarn that I very kindly got gifted, because she said she wanted to send me yarn that had good ethics and stuff like that. And I have heard that Sandnesgarn yarn, or as a company, is very good with that. So it was like a win-win. It was like, I really want to try this yarn, I loved her version. So this is, so it's 100% wool, made in Norway. It is 50 grams, gives you 91 meters, which is very strongly smells of sheep. Very, very strong. Which I'm pretty sure they class the DK weight yarn. I would class it in between DK and Aran, leaning towards Aran, but I've not gauge swatched with it. I actually got it today, a couple of hours ago, and I just want to cast it on straight. I am gonna cast. No, I'm gonna knit a gauge swatch because I'm trying to be good, and then I'm gonna cast it on straight away. So what was I gonna say? Yes, I can't remember. Oh yeah, so I've seen a couple of people knit with this, and I've seen descriptions of this yarn, and they say it's kind of rustic. So I was kind of hesitant because I don't like really rustic yarn. I can do kind of rustic, but not like rustic. So I was kind of like, should I risk it? But some people said it's actually quite soft, and so anyway, I was like, right, it's gonna be an outerwear kind of a thing. I'm not gonna wear it just, you know, on top of just like a vest. I'm probably gonna wear, you know, wear stuff underneath it basically. So I went for it, and actually it's pretty soft. Like I was expecting it to be like rough, but it's pretty soft. I mean, this is this is Drops. I've forgotten the name now. No, can't remember. But this is obviously wool alpaca, and this is softer, but I mean this isn't far behind. I don't know if it's a colourway situation, if certain colours are softer than others, which can happen. I don't know if I've lucked out, but I am so excited to knit this. Like, so excited. I'm actually gonna knit, if you've seen the jumper that I knit, I'm actually gonna knit a size down because I don't want it to be as oversized when I'm wearing it out, just because I don't want it to get in the way as much. And if I am, you know, wearing it underneath a coat, maybe I don't want it to be too bulky. So I'm knitting it, I'm pretty sure the smallest size I'll be knitting, and I'm so excited. I'm gonna knit this, I'm gonna ponder on the perfect pattern for that very special mohair yarn, and hopefully finish those socks. Yeah, and my last acquisition is actually a book. So for my Christmas I asked for a subscription to the Pom Pom magazine, and the first one arrived a week ago maybe. Obviously I'd seen sneak peeks on Instagram, and this is it. So the theme is dreamscapes, which is basically everything has mohair in it, and it's all very me because I love mohair, obviously. So I'm very much locked out with my first Pom Pom magazine because I basically love everything in it. So I've put little sticky notes because there are 3 specific patterns that I do really want to knit. So the first one is a pair of socks. Let me see. And it's just a very simple but effective colourwork pattern, which actually looks quite a lot like this jumper. So I'm obviously drawn to it. It looks like, I don't know what kind of a heel it is, but those kind of short rowy kind of heels don't fit my heel at all. So I'll probably change that to heel flap and gusset, which is an easy modification. So that's that. Now the next one surprised me that I liked and I wanted to knit, because I've never knit anything quite like it, and it's this one which I cannot pronounce the name. Yeah, this one, which I just don't know why I want to knit it. I think it's maybe the yarn choice as well that's drawing me to it. But I think it just looks beautiful. I like the big flary outy arms, and I've not got an all over lace top pattern, so I just thought I really want to try new things, and I really like it. So I've kind of been looking at yarns. I am trying to save up for something that I'll talk about maybe in my next podcast. So yeah, I'm trying to withhold myself from spending too much on yarn at the moment, which is annoying because I really want to knit all of these new patterns. Anyway, so the next one that I really want to knit is this one, which is an all over lace pattern knit out of a strand of mohair with like a Peter Pan collar neck thing, which I would definitely omit and not do that part. It's not really my thing, and I don't think it would suit me, and I think it would stop me from wearing it as much as if I just took it out. So that is, it's probably one of the ones that I will knit before I knit any of the other ones, because it is just one strand of mohair and quite a loose gauge. I can get the yarn cheaper, like, I'm not describing that well. I can make it for cheaper because it's obviously a loose gauge, it's just one strand on its own. Yeah, so that is everything. Yeah, that's everything. I'm looking around at the chaos around me, which is stressful. But anyway, so that's everything. I hope that was interesting. I hope I didn't miss anything out. Probably did, because there's so much to talk about. But yeah, really excited to cast on all of the new things. Really excited to work with that mohair. I cannot wait for that experience. It's just so exciting. I can't even think about it at the moment because it's too exciting. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're doing okay. I know the world is crazy at the moment, and one of the ways that I cope with hard things is I just knit a lot. So I hope you're doing the same. and yeah, I hope this was an escape. So yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will see you soon with lots of new cast-ons and lots of new exciting things. So yeah, bye. I always feel rude saying bye. I don't know why. I'm just like, right, bye. But yeah, see you next time.